Hey there, welcome to the Van Show episode 2. So just to do a bit of a recap, um, as of now, I am on my 4th week on the road, and just the other day I was in Glacier National Park. I got a ton of pretty cool footage with that, but for some reason my foot has been having a lot of issues. I think maybe it's because I'm walking so much every day that I don't know what it is, but it's hurting a lot, and I'm just trying to take it easy. So, unfortunately, when I was at Glacier, I wasn't able to, hike a bunch of trails and do a lot of stuff. Pretty much, I just took it easy. I hiked like 2 or 3 trails and filmed a little bit of the drive. So, I do have a decent amount of footage and all that I'm pleased with that will be coming out eventually. And after that, yesterday and the day before, I was kind of driving out because I'm heading towards the West Coast, and I came across these two really cool cities. One of them is called Sandpoint, Idaho, and the other one is Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And I mean, both of them super duper cool, because they're both on these really big lakes, and I loved the vibe, especially that Sandpoint had, because it almost felt in a way like I was in Florida, just because of how much the city really emphasized um, lake activities, and like there's all kinds of docks and boats. So I really like that. If you're ever in Idaho, do go check out Sandpoint and Coeur d'Alene. Both of them really cool. So with that out of the way, what I really wanted to talk about was the fact that as I've been, driving around the U.S., one of the big things I've been starting to pick up on is that, you know, architecture really doesn't change as much as I thought it would. As I'm driving through all these different cities, it all just kind of feels standardized in a way, I guess. Like you know what a restaurant's gonna look like. You know what an apartment complex is gonna look like. You basically, it's like once you've seen one building, you've seen them all. And while I understand from a company perspective, having a standard building layout um, makes it easier on costs, on planning, on all that. But oh my gosh, is it depressing? In my mind, the worst offenders of this depressing architecture has got to be apartment complexes and whatever companies happen to be running them, because oh my god, it's just so horrible to me the fact that I can I can live somewhere and I can be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's just an apartment complex." And then I can travel thousands and thousands of miles away, just all across the country, and it's the exact same building layout. It is horrible because all it is like you're living in a cube, and it's completely devoid of any personality, and it honest to God just feels like it's designed to wear you down and strip away your individuality. To be able to drive from city to city and the space in which you live, it's just the standardized cookie cutter crap that not only looks lifeless, but you can just feel it. You can feel that when the person designed that apartment complex to be copy and pasted hundreds of times across the entire US, that there was no care, there was not a thought put into that. And it's awful because the the place where you live has such a massive impact on just your outlook, your life, all of that. It's a very subtle thing where just having something nice near you will give you a subconscious mood boost. Or when you're away on a trip, it'll give you something to long for and look forward to on your return. you know? But just as I'm driving through these cities, man, it is just depressing as hell. Every apartment complex the same. Every street of residential housing, it's just variation A, B, C, alternating houses. It's like, where's the love? Where's the creativity, you know? It's it makes me long for a time when it was harder to have these things like buildings and public areas and things like that, where back in the day it was a massive community effort to say, hey, we're going to build a school, or Bob down the street just moved in and he needs a house, so we're all going to pitch in, you know? There used to be a sense of love because these buildings and infrastructure, it took a lot to be able to create it. But now it just almost seems so easy, so trivial, that it's like, oh yeah, we need a house? Yeah, I guess just build a house, you know? Back in the day, it used to be, I need this building. I need the school in the community. It's not just, oh yeah, we need a school. What is this? What does this international construction company have for generic blueprints or something, you know? There used to be heart to it that just seems completely devoid. And it really speaks to, in my mind at least, how out of touch these companies just are, you know? Because when it's individuals in the community coming together and saying, hey, I need this thing done, you get more of a sense of purpose within the structure, right? Like regional architecture, for instance. Like in places with a lot of snow, they'll have steeper roofs to make sure that the snow doesn't pile up and crush the building. And you know, it's the little subtleties like that which once breathed so much life into a place, because every area you'd go to, it was like, oh, we do things our way. Well, why is that? Well, I don't know. Just kind of looks cool, I guess. Or maybe it provides a specific function. Whereas now it's like so just suck the life out of everything, where it's like, am I going to live in generic house A or generic house B? Am I going to send my kids to school that looks like these schools across the country, or school that looks like these schools across the country? Am I going to go to this fast food joint that looks the exact same all across the planet? You know, it's just sad to see like this. It's like a sort of disease. This, I don't know what to call it, but colorful brutalism. Whereas when the communists had their brutalist architecture, just the concrete buildings, the geometric blandness, back then when they were coming up with that, the purpose of it was to make people feel less like individuals and more like part of a collective. You're not a unique person, you're a cog in this massive machine. And I almost feel like when a corporation like McDonald's from the top down goes and says, every one of our restaurants is going to have the red roof with like the weird yellow things on it, or whatever their new design choices are, it just makes it depressing to see all across, you know, the country as you're traveling, because you can get lost easily and forget where you are, because the sense of I am in this place gets entirely lost when it's like, oh hey, that's another McDonald's. That is exactly the same thing I've seen for the past 300 miles, you know? And I really wish that companies would stop being so uptight about their standardization of things, because like Wouldn't it be cool if you go to a city and it's like they have their own specific architecture for whatever reason and everything kind of blends into that, rather than having a city and then slowly having these big corporations creep in on it, eventually just snuffing out all the life that a place once had. And a big consequence of this type of boring, uninspired architecture is the fact that people start to feel trapped or caged because everywhere they go, things are the same. It's like a constant feeling of pressure, of there's no escape, of, well, my life's pretty, I'm not satisfied with the way my life is right now. If I go and I move somewhere different, things will be different. And then you go there and everything looks the same. It feels the same. It really wears down on a person's sense of freedom and their sense of wonder, what's out there. Well, it's like, well, I don't, if things keep getting so standardized, it'll get to a point where it's like, I don't have to go there, because I can tell you it's going to have apartment complex A, it's going to have these 8 fast food restaurants, it's going to have this grocery chain and this mechanic. I feel like a really big thing that people are missing when it comes to all this is the fact that art and the surroundings that it creates really has a massive, massive impact on just everything. So many things end up being downstream of the environment in which you live that I think to just basically plug it into a formula and be like, what colors make people hungry? Oh, okay, red and yellow. Okay, so our logo's gonna be red and yellow. What kind of look of a building has been shown to attract more customers? Oh, okay, looks like this. All right, logo should be, oh, that big. Yeah. When it's so mathematically calculated, it leaves no room for individuality, which in essence is a person's spirit. So as you go down the line, it's like these generic surroundings will produce generic people who will do nothing special. Whereas if you have an area where it's particularly aesthetically pleasing, then it will inspire people to be individuals and then go on to do more incredible things. Like, I think that historically, like, Paris would have been a great example, because way back in the day, right, you had a beautiful city which would attract all kinds of people that would then see this beauty, and then they would go on to be inspired by that, to make their own art and culture and everything like that. And that is why Paris back in the day became this world-renowned cultural center of the arts, because it was unique. It wasn't just, oh, here's just another European city, right? It had Notre Dame, it has the Eiffel Tower, it has all of that. And all that does is it serves to inspire people. Whereas as I'm driving through a lot of these cities, it's just uninspired, and that does kind of worry me for what types of people is that going to produce, because odds are, if a city had incredible aesthetics that inspired people, you would see a lot of amazing things come out of that. Whereas an unremarkable town very often doesn't produce extremely remarkable things. Different parts of the world, they have different ways of doing things. They have different styles, opinions, cultures, all that. And I think it should be something to preserve rather than standardize, stifle, and, transform it from something unique into something that's safe and generic, just because it'll make profits slightly better. Now, as depressing as this video might seem, there's a very simple antidote to all of this generic garbage, and that is embrace your individuality and let that leak out into every facet of life. It can be as simple as painting your room a certain color, or just drawing on stuff. Or you could go as far as saying, if this company is going to ask me to conform to their uniform policy, I'm just not going to work there. Because if everyone said that, they could not have that policy. It's about realizing that you as an individual can make such a profound impact just by saying, no, I'm doing it my way, right? It'll eventually sort of cascade down from you into your community. For instance, I was driving up by Flathead Lake in Montana, and there's a city called Polson. They have this wonderful little cheese shop called Flathead Lake Cheese, and what I really liked about it was the fact that it's run by this couple, and you can tell because it is so unique. Their personality is just dripping off of their whole business. And that's what I like to see. That's what I want to see more of. And while I was there, I was talking to one of the owners, and she was saying that they actually sell a lot of their cheese to the local restaurants. And like I was talking about earlier, that's the effect that one person can have that'll eventually trickle down to all other places in the community. Because I can say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make my own business and operate in this community. And by doing so, you become a pillar of that community. And then, like with the cheese shop, then in these other restaurants, now they're serving this local, extremely unique cheese on their food. And it all comes together to make the community feel like a really unique place to live, which, as I mentioned before, eventually that type of stuff is what inspires people to then do even more. We need builders, we need artists, we need entrepreneurs who are gonna stand up and say, hey, I'm gonna take a little bit of extra time to make this project have a lot of character in it, rather than saying, oh, is this the bare minimum amount to make it functional? Okay, perfect, done, because that's what life's about. It's about taking that extra mile to just say, why not? Rather than being a calculator and just, oh, everything's nominal. No, you need character, you need life. So if you're an artist or a designer of some kind, remember that your community is depending on you to make it a better and more aesthetic place to live, to inspire future generations and get them to see that, there's something to life beyond just doing things. There's a human component of feeling some type of way and then sharing that with the rest of the world through just the way that you choose to make something look. And it's something that I see a lot of the world lacking right now. And maybe it's not this big grand solution that'll fix everything, but I think it's a start. I think it's a start to say we need people to be inspired, because when you make the world around you your own, it gives you a reason to protect it. It gives you a reason to do better, If you go home from generic restaurant A to copy-paste cubicle, and that's just all your life is, there's no zest, there's no emotion to it. We need this emotion to be able to say, no, I want to reach greater heights. I want to put myself through absolute hell just to see what I can possibly accomplish. So the main point I'm trying to make here is that for your human spirit, for your drive and passion for life, it is far better to take the extra money, the extra time, the extra care to make something aesthetically pleasing than it is to just ignore that and go with some generic cookie cutter option. There's a lot of pessimism and depression in the world these days, which is being caused by people not expressing themselves, and they're being forced into a box that they don't want to be in. People are afraid of expressing opinions because it can get you banned from all kinds of services and places, or at the most extreme end, you'll get brainwashed political goons showing up at your doorstep threatening to burn your house down. A big way, I think, to walk back all this insanity is to sit down, take a deep breath, and say, hold on, I'm an individual. I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a this or a that. I'm me, right? That's all there is to it. Because when you tie yourself to these identity lines, you will get pulled in a direction that is going to hurt you because you're not going to agree with every single thing that X organization agrees with. You need to be able to express yourself for who you are. So reject that generic corporate lifestyle and embrace your own uniqueness. And I'm sure you'll feel better for it. Anyway, that's all I've got for today, so remember to subscribe, ring the bell, and have a great life.